Hey team, today I want to get into exponential and logarithmic functions, and we will start by looking at an investment fund and the measly 2.5% fee that the mutual fund system takes for managing your account. So let's take a look at this example. The Wayne family, thank you Batman, invested $1,000 for your retirement fund at your birth in the market. Assuming the average rate of growth for the market is 8%, determine how much money the account will be worth when you turn age 65. Okay. So, quite a few things happening here. The Wayne family was generous, gave you $1,000 and put it in a retirement fund at when you were first born. And assuming, this is a big assumption right here, we are assuming the rate of growth for the market on average is 8% a year. Okay, I'm not actually sure where that came from. It is a saying that people just repeat and they say over and over without actually looking into who said it, how they said it, or why they said it. And so, maybe that could be a different video. Let's take a look at some of our key concepts. So we have a general formula right here, and we have a continuous function right here. We'll get into that one a little later. We'll focus on this first one. So we have the amount equals, P would be principal, the initial amount, multiplied by 1 plus your rate, or your interest rate, divided by the number of times it's compounded, and all of this would be to the power of time multiplied by the number of times compounded. Okay, so in our example, we have $1,000. So the amount would be $1,000 for principal, and we're multiplying it by 1 plus, and since it's not losing money, it's growth, so it'd be growing, and so we'd have a plus sign here, and our rate was 8%, so decimal form of 8% would be 0.08, and this is every year, so over 1, and then let's see, for 65 years from birth to age 65, so 1 times 65 would be 65. Okay, so typing this in, you get an answer of about, here, let's pull up the calculator. So we'd get, let's see, 0.08 divided by 1 is 0.08. 1 plus 0.08 would be 1.08 to the power of 65. Multiply that by 1,000, and you are right there, 148,779. Okay. $148,779 and some change. I already forgot the change. It was 80, we'll say 85 cents. Okay. Well, you weren't there immediately, because this is not a bad return. We have $1,000 that was given to us. It stayed in the retirement fund, and we almost have $150,000. Even if things weren't perfect, let's say maybe $140,000 if it round down a little. Okay, well, didn't get there exactly, because let's see where the fund was at when we were, say, 50. Or I'll say 60. 1 plus 0.08 over 1, 60. Because if we type that in for being 60, well then we'd have 1.08 to the 60th power times our 1,000. And so right there we're at 101,257. And so even just those last 5 years, you made around a $47,000 difference just in the last 5 years. Let's say we had age 55, so 1.08 to the 55th power times 1,000. And that was even at 68,913. And so at age 55, it was even less. And so that's the power of exponential growth or exponential decay, because it may grow slowly at first, but man, it takes off at the very, very end, because even at age 55, you're at $68,000 in your fund. For the last 10 years, boom, shot up all the way to around $148,000. Cool. Well, this whole time, this money has been with the mutual fund. And the mutual fund is a business. They're managing your money. They're helping out. And so because of that, they need to take a fee. So let's go ahead and take a look at this in a graph. So right now, here is what we made. We have this beautiful red line. It's an exponential curve. And it makes sense, because if we check out age 65 right here, we have the number exactly where we want it as the money we made in our account. And then you can go down to age 60, and you saw we have the same answer right here, around 101,000, and so on. So this is the curve of the life of that money in the fund. Well, we have to pay a fee, and so they say we pay a 2.5% fee for them to manage the money. Okay, not bad. Let's pull up the graph again. So it looks like the fee would be, let's just multiply this by 2.5%. So in our last year, we had $148,000 made, and they'd take about $3,000, a little over $3,500. say we're back at age 45. Okay, we made $31,000, or almost $32,000. The fee would be about $800. And so that's the idea. And so, 2.5% doesn't seem bad. That's usually what we think about when they say 2.5%. Here's what 2% actually means. It's not just 2%, it's 2.5% annually, which means they take 2.5% every year. And that is a huge difference, and this is why you need to be very careful in your language and when you're reading these terms and agreements, because here's what they actually take. So, look at the formula right here, and so the blue line is what we think they take. Here's actually what they take, the purple line, which is very, very close to your red line, because it's your money. You put it in the market, you took all the risk, and they get the purple line right here. So if you made almost 150,000, guess what? They're taking 110. So let's make it easy numbers. 140,000 you made, they're taking 110,000, leaving you with this green line right here, which would be around 30,000. So think of that. You invested in the long term. The mutual fund managed it well. Okay, sure, but that is insanity. Here the fund, your money at risk, 100% of the risk, mind you, made around 140,000. The mutual fund took 110,000, leaving you with right around 30. Insanity. And so that's why it's very important to make sure you know and understand what you're getting into. And that, again, is the power of compound interest. And usually we'd say this is criminal, but this is Wall Street. It's perfectly legal in the terms of agreement. If we check out a quote from the founder of Vanguard, let's see what he has to say. And so he actually had, that's not the right one. He kind of has his own book, and I modeled this example, twisted it just a little. And so he had this to say. Well, it's awesome. Let me give you a little long-term example. The example I use in my book is an individual who is 20 years old today, starting to accumulate for retirement. That person has about 45 years to go before retirement, 2065. And then, if you believe the actuarial tables, another 20 years to go before death mercifully brings his or her life to a close. So that's 65 years of investing. If you invest 1,000 at the beginning of that time and earn 8%, that 1,000 will grow in the 65-year period to around 140,000. Okay, so he's using nice round numbers. That's exactly what we had in this problem up here. It's actually this number, and so he's being nice and generous, and I'm just rounding down a little low. Well, here's what he said next. So now the financial system, the mutual fund system, in this case, will take about 2.5% points out of that return. So you'll have a gross return of 8%, a net return of 5.5%, and your 1,000 will grow to approximately $30,000. That is nothing. 65 years is a really long time just for you to have $30,000 later in life. Okay. And so, if you see here, I actually calculated this green line with 5.5% in the formula, giving you that green line for your return. Insane. That is the power of exponential and compound interest. And some of these quotes I actually got not from John Bogle's book, although that would be a good recommendation. Another one I have pulled up here is 401 Chaos. And so How Our Dream of Retirement Came in Every Chaos, written by Andy Tanner. And I believe he's giving this book out for free at this time. If you go to his website, Cashflow Academy, I believe there is a way to get a hold of that PDF book without having to purchase it or anything like that. And so that's what I had, that's what I read, and it's a good read if you're looking for a deeper dive into this type of system. And the crazier thing is they're assuming that this is in good times. They're not assuming that it is in bad times. And so if we pull up the market today, let's see. Let's look at the S&P 500. And so if we pull up the market, well, the average they're saying is 8%. But if we look at what's actually happening, well, they don't really account for anything like this big drop-off. Guess what? Your money's at risk, and it went down a lot. Too bad you didn't get your 8% this year. But they're still taking their 2.5% fee. Whether or not you make your 8% return, they're still taking their 2.5% interest. Okay. So even more food for that there. Oh, and it gets worse. The $30,000 is then taxed once you take it. Okay. So not a good system. It's more important to make sure you invest in yourself, invest in your education, and so you are able to read and interpret the terms you enter and make more wise investments.